Let's make this year's annual Christmas cookie box using just 5 simple ingredients. This cookie selection starts with just one quick and easy shortbread dough. Using that, I'm going to show you how to make a whole variety of cookies, all with different looks and decorations. These are perfect for gifting, sharing with friends and family, or taste testing one too many before the box actually makes it out the door. We're making an Italian-style shortbread, which is buttery and delicious. The dough is made entirely in the food processor, so it comes together in seconds. No creaming the butter, no stand mixer, no dirty bowls. We're going to cover these Christmas cookies in chocolate because nothing screams holiday season quite like chocolate-covered shortbread. I mean, if you're not doubling the calories, is it even really the holidays? Into a medium to large food processor, we're going to add the flour, the salt, and the powdered sugar. It's important we use powdered sugar for this recipe because it gives the cookies a super smooth texture. You also need butter, which needs to be cut into small pieces. What's really cool about this recipe is that you don't have to wait for the butter to come up to room temperature. You can use it straight from the fridge. The trick is to cut it up into small pieces as it blends into the flour more easily that way. You're going to blend these ingredients for a minute, kind of like when you're making pie crust. Now add 2 egg yolks. The yolks add richness and color, and they make the dough much easier to handle than other kinds of shortbread. At this point, you can also add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. It's optional. You want to process these ingredients until a rough dough forms. This may take a few minutes, so please be patient. It will go from a shaggy mixture to a semi-formed dough and then to a cookie dough. Tip the cookie dough onto your work surface and use the warmth of your hands to bring the dough together. Do not be afraid to handle it. There's so much butter in this recipe that it's almost impossible to overwork the dough. Lots of people worry about developing gluten in baked goods, but the truth is there's such a high ratio of butter here, it's really hard to do that. Butter is good at inhibiting gluten formation, so don't worry that this is going to turn into bread. Lightly flour your work area and roll out the dough to about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now here you can really have fun and use whatever cookie cutters you've got. I'm using quite basic ones. I feel almost everyone has round cookie cutters. However, if you don't own any cookie cutters, you can pinch off a little bit of dough, roll it into a ball, and roll that into a small log. These log shapes are my absolute favorite. Once you cover these little logs in chocolate, they're so delicious and satisfying to eat. Now, if you do want to make these a little bit more special, they do sell some very cool cookie cutter sets these days. But I wanted to show you how you can make a variety of cookies based on what you already have in your house. Place the cookies onto a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, and these need to go into the freezer for about 10 minutes before you bake these. This just helps them retain their shape. Bake the Christmas cookies at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius for anywhere between 8 and 13 minutes. While these cool down, let me talk to you about today's sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN. It's an app and browser extension that keeps your internet connection safe and protected by encrypting your internet activity, blocking viruses and malicious software. It also gives you other benefits. For example, it lets you change your IP address to be in any country in the world. I use it for Netflix and Disney Plus, so I get to watch movies and shows that aren't available here in Italy. I also really like Surfshark Alternative ID. Have you ever noticed that as soon as you sign up to something online, you suddenly get loads of spam email and even unwanted calls? With Alternative ID, you get a new online name, contact email, and phone number. Perfect when you're using a website you don't trust. Your Surfshark VPN account works across unlimited devices, so your phone, your laptop, your tablet, so your whole family can stay protected. They've got 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money-back guarantee. So go to surfshark.com/Emmas or use the code Emmas at the checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN for free. Now let's talk chocolate. I'm using 2 types of chocolate today, dark and milk. The best way to melt chocolate, in my opinion, is in the microwave. It's much less fuss than using a double boiler. You want to microwave the chocolate in 30 to 45-second intervals. That way, it doesn't burn. A really simple way to temper chocolate is to not melt it completely. Instead, you allow some chunks to remain. The residual heat will melt the remaining chocolate while keeping it tempered. This way of tempering chocolate is not precise, but hey, if you don't have a thermometer, it works out pretty well. I've placed a sheet of parchment paper underneath the rack, and we'll get back to that. Pour the melted chocolate over the cookies. A simple spoon works well here, and you want to tap the tray onto your counter to smooth out the chocolate. You can also dunk the cookies directly in the chocolate. However, I find this method much faster, and the parchment paper makes it super easy to capture the melted chocolate, and once it hardens, you can just peel it off and reuse it another time. You can really be creative, and if you have a piping bag or a Ziploc bag, you can create different patterns by drizzling the chocolate onto your cookies. These cookies keep well if stored well in an airtight container. I'll leave more details on my website along with, of course, the full written recipe. Put these in a nice box and you'll have one of the most beautiful, but most importantly, delicious Christmas cookie boxes. Who doesn't like chocolate? These cookies make a great gift, but feel free to indulge. You did take the time to make these yourself, and I guarantee you no store-bought Christmas cookies will be this delicious.